You're listening to the Empowered Divorce Podcast, where you practice being the chooser in your life again, one day at a time. Thanks for joining me. Hello, my amazing listeners. How are you? Thanks for joining me. I've been having more of these conversations with clients as the end of the year is wrapping up, as more events, big events for your kids are coming with graduations, got summer, so we have some weddings happening. Your kids are having these events and you are going to these events and you've got your ex there, and maybe the ex has a new partner there, but then you have your ex in-laws there. You are already dreading it and anticipating the triggers. You're already feeling triggered going to these events. And so I want to talk about that today and offer a few things to consider that you can do to help prepare for these events where you want to go and you want to have a positive experience. This is your child's big moment, whether they're graduating, getting an award, having a performance, doing something really cool they've accomplished. You want to go. You want to celebrate that. You want to be present with your kid in that event. You have every right to do that. Then you think about the people that are going to be there and your body has a response. So you might logically, like in your brain, you might go, okay, this is about my kid. I'm going to go and it's just going to be about my kid. But your body might have a completely different idea of how we're going to show up in that event. Maybe you've already had this happen with some of these end of the year events. The truth is, this is going to happen because our kids are going to continue to have events in their life. And if your ex and his family are still sharing in these events and want to be a part of these events, or your kids want them to be a part of these events, then you are going to be sharing this experience with them. It can be really, really, really hard. So I want to talk about that. Most of my clients are experiencing high conflict divorce. So this makes it even trickier when you're going into that experience already having a lot of trauma, a lot of secondary betrayal from the ex family, where you weren't believed. In fact, you were villainized and victimized, where they did take sides, or even like they stayed neutral and didn't want to take sides. So now you felt invalidated and you felt maybe even more crazy because you're like, okay, but it's pretty blatant what he did. We're still not going to validate that. I did that whole episode on Switzerland. Like, you are already going into this experience having had trauma with your ex and with his family. So this trauma part is already giving you lots of ideas, of lots of suggestions and ideas of what might happen. I remember just playing out the event of what that looks like. If they say hi, if they don't say hi, if they sit next to me, what am I going to do? Or should I sit next to them? Do I need to pretend? Like, brain just going bananas over what this event is going to look like. It's trying to prepare you for worst case scenarios. So it's going to give you every scenario that it can come up with. And you lose sleep and then it's exhausting. So one of the things that I notice when I'm processing with this kind of stuff with my clients is that the brain is going to very much black and white around these events. So for example, I want to show up at this event and I want it to be meaningful and I want to be present and I want to show up for my kid, right? I want this to be a good experience for my child. I don't want my child to feel the tension between families. I don't want my child to be like one parent's on one side and one's on the other. I get that. Again, those of you who have had high conflict divorces and there are very strict boundaries in place with the other parent or even with family members, what I want to offer you there is not get so hung up in the weeds about your kid having to navigate maybe both sides of the gym with the two sets of parents. I think a lot of these conversations that I've had with you around kids, you've probably noticed me ending up saying the same thing. And that is when you find yourself trying to navigate your child's emotions, when you're trying to say, okay, I need to do this, or maybe not do this, or how can I do this so that my kid feels blank, that needs to be your little yellow flag guy in your head or flag girl in your head that just goes, no, hold on. We're stepping out of our control. We're getting into a zone that we don't have any control or power, right? You can't actually make your kid feel whatever it is you're wanting your kid to feel. You can show up as perfect as you want to in that event, and your kids still will have their own emotions to choose from. And more importantly, when you show up trying to make your child feel a certain way, you're actually not really present. That's what I'm hearing from a lot of you in these situations. I just want to be present. I want to be in the moment with them. I want to share that experience. When you are trying to make your kid have an experience that you want them to have or think they should have, you're actually not present. You're not embodied. You're not authentic. You're not you. So let's slow this down and perhaps realize or recognize that there's a lot of pressure you might be putting on yourself for this one event, believing that you need to have this experience, connective experience with your kid in this one event. What if you can create that experience with your kid at a different time? When you want your child to feel your congratulations, when you want them to feel how proud you are of them, when you want them to feel your excitement for them and what they're accomplishing, it doesn't have to be at this one event. In fact, majority of your kids at these events are going to be so wrapped up in their own ego, they're really not going to pay attention to you. And how many of you already know that? How many of you already experienced that where I don't know about you, but this is what usually happens with my kids. I go to these events and I'm like, they give a hug, hey mom, and then boom, they're off trying to find their friends because they want pictures with their friends. They want to celebrate with their friends. We're making this big event mean more about us than the kid when we're worried about us more, or when we're even worried more about us in relation to the kid, or how we show up makes the kid feel. We're putting ourselves and making ourselves a little bit more important in this kid's event than we probably are to this kid. And that's sometimes just the blatant truth and reality of being a parent, right? Where you're like, hey, I got you through this whole 4 years of college or high school, like all of the things that we did as parents to support them. We want to celebrate too. We want to feel proud of all the effort that we did putting into this child to get them graduated. I don't know about you, but man, I'm going to cheer so loud for myself when I get this youngest one graduated. Been a daily grind to get that kid to school. So I am going to do my own celebrating. My child at the graduation isn't probably going to be that invested in having this super connective moment with me. Really, what he wants is for me to be there. That's usually about it. Give him some money so that he can go out and party with his friends, right? When you really think about what your kids want from their own experience at their event, that usually doesn't have a whole lot to do with you. But the point I'm trying to make is that we're ruminating, we're staying up, we're sweating and agonizing over this event and how this might feel for our kids. We don't want them to feel awkward. We don't want them to feel pulled between two parents. I think we might be putting a little too much stock in their experience here. So that's one thing to just consider as you're going into the events. And then just tagging along on something I mentioned before, you can have your own experience. You can have your own intimate experience with your child where you can have that moment before the event, or maybe the couple days before, or maybe a couple days after, taking them out to dinner and saying, hey, why don't you and I go out to dinner and celebrate this? Then you can have that one-on-one time where you can really let them know, because I imagine it is important for you to let them know how proud you are of them, how excited you are for them and their future and all that they're going to be doing. And this is bringing emotion because I can totally relate to this, where you want them to know this. And it's hard when you're going to this public event, knowing that your body is going to be triggered because you're in a space with people who are not safe, with people who have betrayed you, with people who don't really know you and have said maybe horrible things about you. You're trying so hard to show up to the space in a way that is healthy for your kid, so your kid knows, I am so excited for you and I want to have this connecting moment. But I just think, let's be realistic, that's probably not going to happen in that event space. So you create another event with your kid where you can show them how incredibly proud you are of them, that you can commiserate over some of the hard and some of the fun, positive, funny things that have happened to get them where they're at. And you can create that intimate experience with them outside of this one event. Now, you're going to go, you're going to show up because you're mom and you're freaking amazing. When you've released this idea that you need to show up perfect for your kid, or when you've released this idea that you need to show up a certain way so that your kid doesn't feel XYZ, okay, your kid's going to feel whatever he's going to feel or she's going to feel. When you know that you're going to create an opportunity outside of this one event to have another with your kid where you can celebrate this experience with them, when you can put all of that in place, now you are showing up because mom shows up. You are going to then be prepared to feel the feelings that come when you are in the same space with people who have betrayed you, who have abused you, who have lied about you, perhaps said things about you that aren't true, perhaps, who are truly not healthy for you. People that you might have boundaries with, people that you haven't talked to in a while, people that maybe you don't even want to look at or have you look their way. When you go to this event, here are some things that I want to offer that you can do to help stay as embodied and present as you possibly can. Okay. The first thing that you're going to do, you're going to prepare for all of the emotions, the grief after this event. That looks like maybe where my kid goes off with his friends, or he goes off to the party, or after the party that we have at the park, whatever that is. Then I am going to arrange for someone to take my kids for the rest of the evening, and I'm going to take myself to the spa, or I'm going to take myself to a movie, or I'm going to just go home and crawl in bed. I'm going to, what am I going to do to validate all of the emotions that are going to arise when you are in the same space as people who have injured you, rather than thinking that you can somehow outsmart, outrighteous, or out strategize your body, because your body keeps the score. Your body knows that these people are harmful and are not safe. And it needs to be validated that these people have injured you. You were just in the same space with them. Maybe that looks like you have the kids go somewhere, you go home, you order dinner in, you climb in bed, you put on some fuzzy warm socks, you put on a mask, or you take a bath, you light your sage and you cry. Whatever that looks like for you, I want to encourage you to create as time to feel all of the emotions that are going to come with being at this event with these people. Okay, now going to the event, you're going to put together a trauma kit. I've talked about this before, but just in case you haven't heard this episode, here's what this looks like. You get to go to Target, y'all. You're going to go to Target or the dollar store or whatever favorite store you want to go, but you're going to go buy a cute little makeup bag. I just have a bunch of makeup bags that I use for my trauma kits. You take a makeup bag, and inside this makeup bag are going to be items that help you access your 5 senses. So sight, sound, touch, smell, and taste. Okay. And I'll put those all in the show notes just in case you forget what your 5 senses are. You're going to find things to help activate these 5 senses. When you activate your senses, you are bringing yourself back to the present moment, because a trigger pulls you back to that incident that happened when the trigger was created. It can also, anxiety can throw you into the future fear, right? Where your brain goes into the future. What if they come over? And what if they yell? And what if this and what if that, right? So we can go either direction with this experience. And so when you access your 5 senses, it's pulling you back to your body, to your mind, to your spirit, bringing you into your present moment. For example, something that you can have in your kit are lip smackers. Hey, ladies of the early 90s, come on, get out your lip smackers. I love these. These are my favorite. I have way too many. I had a boyfriend that loved buying these for me, and I had the necklace where they would hook to your necklace and you go pop. Remember that? And you pop your lip smacker off your necklace and put it on and then stick it back on your, okay, sorry, maybe that was just me, but I love my lip smackers. I like these because number one, those of you who are watching me on YouTube are probably laughing. It goes on your lips. You can feel, okay, so I am feeling the sensation on my lips. I can taste it because I always lick my lips after I put on my chapstick, even though my mother's told me for years not to do that. Remember that like red line you'd get under your lip? Okay, so you have your chapstick and then it smells. It always has some yummy smell or taste. So right there, I'm getting touch, smell, and taste. So these are my go-to. I love these. Or essential oils or essential oil sprays, things like that. You can sense, you have that smell, you breathe it in. I have multiple, orange is one of my favorites, but I have multiple little travel size essential oils. And I would not be surprised that if some of you caught me in public somewhere, that you would not see one of those essential oils like halfway shoved up my nose, just there with that thing up my nose. But breathing that sense in helps you come to the present moment, helps you be present with your body. Then sight, picture, maybe it's a picture of your kids, one of your favorite pictures of your kids. Maybe it's an outdoor picture, any picture that when you look at, you feel that sense of grounding and that sense of calm in your body. I have pictures, quotes. You can have one of your favorite quotes or mantras or scripture that you pull out. And again, reading that, visualizing that, looking at that ground you. So sight, smell, touch. I have mints. I have little of my favorite candies. I used to have chocolates, but they melt. So don't do that. Something that you can put in your mouth. Again, when you have that taste, it's grounding you. It's bringing you back to your body. This doesn't mean that you're going to not feel the negative emotion. It actually means that you're going to feel it in your body, which is what we want to do. When you are triggered, you stay in that fight, flight, freeze way too long, or you're disassociating, that emotion is getting stuck. That's why we want to come to the present moment and feel it and process it, let it move through, right? So you're validating yourself. You're like, yep, there she is, wanting her around, right? When he has a little new fling. Yep, my comparative brain is going to town, telling me how I'm not enough. And if I was just skinny like her, then I wouldn't have been. Just notice that. Of course, you're going to experience this because that trauma part in your brain is on high alert when you're around the people that hurt you, that betrayed you, that injured you, that abused you. There's nothing that you're going to do to get rid of that when you are putting yourself in that situation around these people. But to my point earlier, you're going to go because you're going to go for your kid, but we're going to go prepared. Boundaries are also a part of your plan. What are you going to say? Are you going to talk to them? Just know for yourself, decide ahead of time what you're okay with doing and what you're not okay with doing. You can change your mind in the moment if your body says to do something different, but have a plan going in. Maybe you decide that walking in, nodding, you're going to acknowledge their existence, but you're going to keep on walking and you're going to find another seat. What do you feel comfortable doing? What feels true to you, right? What feels true to your integrity? What feels true to your character, but also what is protecting you? Because remember, you don't owe anybody anything. You owe yourself that protection, and boundaries help protect you. They help protect your values, your integrity. You might even consider asking a friend to come with you and be your support system, someone that you can lean on, someone that can help emotionally regulate you, pass you your lip smacker or essential oil where they say you're not breathing. Like, that is also an option and can really be valuable, especially for those of you who might not live around your family, but you're going to these things by yourself. So consider finding a friend, asking a friend to support you at this time as well. We're going to go armed and ready to handle the triggers and the emotional response. And then we've got a plan. We've got a plan for ourselves to let it all out when it's over. We have prepared for grief. Remember my episode on preparing for grief? This is what you're going to do. It's how you emotionally take care of yourself. This is a very emotionally mature thing to do. Emotionally immature is thinking that you can somehow outsmart your body, your triggers, and your emotion to where you don't feel any of that negative emotion. That's not going to happen. So you prepare for it. You make a space for it. Then it can move through you. I spent a lot of time trying to just run away and avoid from ever having to be in the same room with any of these people. And for the most part, did a pretty damn good job of that. But when you have these big events for your children and your children want these people to be a part of their life, which is absolutely okay. And I want my children to have more people in their life who love them. As many people who can love my kids, the better for my kids. I can accept that, but it certainly makes it difficult and challenging for me. And I can accept that too. When I want to show up for my kid, when I want to be there and I want to celebrate with them and I want to be as present as possible, I'm not going to fool myself and think that I can do this without experiencing negative emotion, but I'm going to set myself up to manage it during the event and let myself feel it afterwards, validating myself that these are really difficult, challenging experiences. When you're in the same room with the people who injured you, you are doing a really brave thing and showing up for your kid anyways, as something to be really proud of. There's nothing to be ashamed of that you are doing a really hard thing and that this is hard for you. It's okay that it's hard. You're going to do it anyways, but you're going to do it so that you give yourself the best chance to not be stuck in that trigger, to stay as present as possible in that moment, to care for your emotion afterwards, and know that that one event doesn't have to be the only experience that you have with your kid to celebrate with them, that you can create your own opportunity with them to let them know how proud you are and how excited you are for what they're experiencing in their life. You cannot not be their mom. You will always be their mom. You can take as many opportunities to tell them how proud you are of them and how excited and celebrate with them as you want, because you absolutely can. Take care, everybody. Okay, so this might not fit in your trauma kit, but if you want another little something to add to your self-care, there are a bunch of different coffee mugs that have some really classic sayings that you hear me say all the time that you can purchase. There's a hoodie that says "Because I Can" that you can purchase. So head over to amiewoolsey.com, click on more resources and scroll down to swag. Pick yourself out something fun to celebrate you and the hard work that you are doing to have an empowered divorce. I'll just tell you, one of my favorite mugs says, "Apparently, all I can control is what's in this damn cup." Because how many times have you heard me say you can only control what's in your control bubble? And how many times have you rolled your eyes at that? I have a little fun with these mugs and the sayings on them and some other things that you can pick up along the way. Treat yourself. All right, everyone, have a wonderful rest of your day. Take care.